Flying gracefully through the sky in search of the 7 shards, a medium-sized, majestic being dwells. Who is it, you ask? The Aarakocra. Aarakocras are neutral, good humanoid eagles that live in the elemental plane of air. An Aarakocra's job is to guard their town from evil, but also to search for the temples of elemental evil. It's pretty cool. Aarakocras prefer to live in areas on top of mountaintops. These fascinating creatures have no concept of political borders or ownership of land, so an Aarakocra can just walk into your land with no problem. Their ability modifiers are +0 strength, +2 dexterity, +0 constitution, +0 intelligence, +1 wisdom, and +0 charisma. They have a proficiency in perception skill, which gives them a +5 modifier, and they speak Auran and have a challenge rating of 1/4, which means that if you kill it, you only get 50 XP. Now moving on to their attacks, they have 3 total attacks. The Talon, which deals 1d4 -2 damage, the Javelin, which deals 1d6 +2 damage, and the Dive Hit, which deals 1d6 damage. And one side note, their target has to be at least 30 feet or 9 meters below them in order for it to be a success. That's about it for the Aarakocra. Now moving on to the Aboleth. They have lived before the gods in the primordial oceans and the underground lakes, and mind-controlled innocents to be their slaves. They had the power of a god! Ha ha ha! Until the real gods came, who crushed them and freed all their slaves. This caused the Aboleths and the gods to have a major rivalry with one another. Aboleths are underwater creatures who have 1 tail and 3 tentacles. They have a Pennywise-shaped mouth, like in the scene where he just opens his mouth and he's about to eat Beverly, I think her name was. And they have 3 eyes lined up horizontally. These creatures have flawless memory and even remember the knowledge and experiences of their ancestors. They live in deep lakes, ocean abysses, and the elemental plane of water. When an Aboleth's body gets destroyed, their spirit returns to the elemental plane of water, where a new body gets built for it, and this process can take up to a couple months. Now moving on to my personal favorite feature of Aboleths, their lair. Why, you may ask? Well, the Aboleth's lair can actually assist an Aboleth in attacking if the Aboleth manages to roll a d20 in initiative. Number 1, they can cast Phalsmantle Force on any creature within 60 feet or 18 meters of the lair. The creatures affected by it need to make an intelligence saving throw in order to not get affected, and if they succeed, they are now immune to that action for 24 hours. Number 2, any pool of water within 90 feet or 27 meters cause a huge tide and surge outward, making any creature within a 20-foot radius or a 6-meter radius of the pools to go launching 20 feet or 6 meters up into the air. They must make a strength saving throw of 14 in order to prevent this from happening. Luckily, this feature cannot be reused unless another one goes before it. Finally, number 3, the Aboleth's lair becomes a huge conduit and can target any creature within 90 feet or 27 meters of the lair. All creatures need to make a wisdom saving throw of 14, or else they would deal 2d6 psychic damage. Same conditions as the last one. This cannot be reused unless something else goes after it. Swiftly moving on to regional effects. Any underground area within 1 mile or 1.6 kilometers of the lair would be slimy and wet, and any water source within that same distance end up making someone throw up if they drink even a tiny bit of it. When an Aboleth dies, the first 2 wear off within 3d10 days. Now, moving on to the stat block. Ugh, finally! You know how long these take to edit and make? This one took 3 days because of how confusing the Aboleth is. Aboleths are lawful evil, have an armor class of 17, hit points 135, and their hit die is so high. 18d10 plus 36. Their walking speed is 10 feet or 3 meters, and their swimming speed is 40 feet or 12 meters. Their ability modifiers are plus 5 strength, minus 1 dexterity, plus 2 constitution, plus 4 intelligence, plus 2 wisdom, and plus 4 charisma. Their saving throws are constitution plus 6, intelligence plus 8, and wisdom plus 6. Their proficient skills are history and perception, with history having a modifier of plus 12 and perception having a modifier of plus 10. They have a sense in dark vision, which limits to 120 feet or 37 meters. They speak deep speech and telepathy, which limits to 120 feet and 37 meters again. Their challenge rating is 10, which means they give you 5,900 XP if you kill one. These creatures are amphibious, meaning that they can breathe in both water and on land. They also have an ability called Mucus Cloud, where if anyone near them underwater touches them, they have to make a constitution saving throw of 14, or else they'd be diseased for 1d4 hours. If you can speak telepathy with this creature, they end up knowing all of your greatest desires. Moving on to their attacks. First of all, they have the 3 tentacles, which they can use. The damage that it does is 2d6 plus 5, or 12. And they also have a multi-attack, so it could move up to 66 plus 15. If you get hit with a tentacle, you could become diseased. You have to make a DC 14 Constitution saving throw, or else you would get damaged 1d12 acid every 10 minutes. This can be cured with any kind of spell or potion that heals diseases. They also have this attack where they just use their tail. You take 3d6 plus 5 damage from it. They also have an attack called Enslave, where they can enslave someone that's within 30 feet or 9 meters of the Aboleth. The target must succeed a DC 14 saving throw of wisdom, or else they would be enslaved. And every time they would take damage, they must repeat that saving throw. And if they succeed, they're no longer charmed or enslaved. But you can only repeat the saving throw once every 24 hours if you are in a 1 mile radius of the Aboleth. Aboleths also have this option called legendary actions, which they have 3 of. And only 1 can be done at a time, even if they have some sort of ability where they can do 2 at a time. Number 1 is Detect, which they make a wisdom saving throw. Number 2 is Tail Swipe, where they make 1 tail attack. And then there is Psychic Drain, which actually costs 2 actions. The creature enslaved by the Aboleth takes 3d6 damage, and all the damage that they take goes back to the Aboleth. Well, now the video's finally over. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you later. Bye!